the reason I did what I did at MicroStrategy was, if I gave the $500 million back to the shareholders, that was $60 a share. The stock was $120 a share. So in an environment where the money is losing 15, 20, 25% of its value a year, and you're sitting in all cash instruments, you either need to give the money back to the shareholders or you need to invest it in some scarce desirable asset. So the reason I did what I did at MicroStrategy was, if I gave the $500 million back to the shareholders, that was $60 a share. The stock was $120 a share. I basically was valued at 1 times revenue plus the cash. When I gave the money back to the shareholders, the stock was going to go to $60 a share. When that happened, all my employees' stock options were going to be underwater, right? And we were going to get beat to death by Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and Google. They were just going to steal all our employees when the stock crashed. And that would mean that instead of growing 5 or 10% a year, I was going to be shrinking 5 or 10% a year. Instead of my cash flows doubling or tripling, they were going to be cut to zero. And once your revenues start falling, your cash flows go to zero, you have no capital, all your employees quit. When your employees quit, the company unwinds, we're going to go to zero. So giving the cash back to the shareholders was a fast death. Holding the cash at 0% interest when it was losing 20% of its value a year was a slow death. Doing something was the alternative, and so we decided to do something, which is invest the money in a property or in an asset that would go up faster than the rate at which the money was collapsing. So fundamentally, we have this issue. I want to move money through time. I have a 100-year time frame. I'm an institution. The whole point is an institution is supposed to go on, right? And so how do you do it? No currency will work. Can you use gold? Well, gold as money is the best idea humanity had for like 5,000 years, but it's not a perfected idea. The problem with gold is gold miners produce 2% more gold a year. Okay, that's no better than the state of Florida seizing 2% of your property a year in a property tax. The half-life of gold, therefore, becomes about 30 years. You divide 2% into 70. In 35 years, your money's cut in half. Hold it for 100 years, it's cut in half 3 times. The second problem is it'll be stolen by a criminal or a politician that disagrees with you. So wouldn't it be great if I could buy a virtual building in Argentina using borrowed pesos? And then what if I could spirit the building out of the country and rent it to people in London or New York City? That's what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is digital property that you can teleport anywhere in space instantly. And it's also perfected property with the lowest maintenance cost. You know, you don't have the property tax you have on a building. You don't have to repaint the thing every 10 years. You don't have to worry about leaks in the roof. So if I could buy $1 billion worth of property and it was in cyberspace, and if you couldn't make any more of it, if I capped it at 21 million city blocks in cyberspace, and if I could hold it for 1,000 years, I might have a better idea than buying a city block in Manhattan or a building in London or even a company. And it's a lot better idea than buying 30,000 pounds worth of gold. Why? Because real estate developers are going to create more buildings, gold miners are going to create more gold, mayors are going to pass a property tax, and they're going to put some kind of enjoinder or some kind of restriction on your rents. Rent control your building. Something, you know, acts of God are going to create earthquakes and floods and lightning strikes. And none of that stuff's happening in cyberspace. So the whole idea of Bitcoin is it's perfected, engineered gold, crypto gold, with none of the defects of gold. You can't mine any more of it. It's weightless. I can move it at the speed of light. It never decomposes. I can break it into 1,000 pieces in a second, send it to 1,000 places, and recompose it, all using a computer program. And I can take personal custody of it. Maybe the most powerful two ideas are, I can hold possession of $1 billion of Bitcoin in my head, just holding a password or a set of private keys. That's a pretty big idea. Maybe the first time in the history of the human race that you can actually take possession of your wealth and take it to the grave with you, or take it anywhere else on earth with you.